Assalamu alaikum and hi viewers, this is Sajad Hussain and you are watching my YouTube channel. Welcome to the next episode on the prologue to Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer. Viewers, today we are going to discuss some very important characters that are there in the prologue. And before I discuss these characters, I want to draw your attention to a very important idea. In the exams, mostly there is a question that is asked either in the form of multiple choice question or as short answer question. The question is how many pilgrims are there in the prologue? Now this is a very tricky question, and in order to answer this question you have to be very smart. We find out that in the beginning there are 29 pilgrims who gather at the inn, but as Chaucer, who is the narrator, happens to be already there and he is also one of the pilgrims, therefore the total number is 30. And when we move to the end of the prologue, we find out that the host Harry Bailey also decides to join this prestigious company, so the number of the pilgrims becomes 31 now. So these are very important things that you need to keep in your mind. Now, important characters in the prologue. Viewers, there are 29 characters that have been depicted by Chaucer, and these 29 characters are full of versatility. They are very rich and they are highly attractive and they are excellently portrayed by Chaucer. There's no doubt about it. But one of the problems with these characters for students is that the details are so many, and the details are sometimes so much alike that the students get confused and they cannot quote the relevant details in their answers during exams, and consequently they are not able to get good marks. So in order to tackle this problem, I have shortlisted these characters from 29 to 10. If you study these 10 characters that I'm going to give you a list of, you can easily attempt any question in the examination. You also need to understand that it's very unlikely that that a question is going to be set on a particular character. It's very unlikely. Yes, there can be a character, there can be a question on the character of the knight, there can be a question on the poor parson, but other than that, it's very unlikely that a full length question is going to be set on a particular character. So the questions are general ones. For example, there can be a question on Chaucer's art of characterization. If this is a question, it's a huge topic for discussion, but there can be subtopics and the question can be on these subtopics. For example, Chaucer's characters are individuals as well as types, universalism in the characters of Chaucer. Chaucer's characters are highly realistic. Chaucer's characters are the representative of the 14th century England. Chaucer's characters are full of humor and they have elements of irony and satire. So this is how different questions can be asked. There can be a general question like the prologue to Canterbury Tales has retained its popularity to this very day. What are the reasons for it? So in order to answer these questions, you must have some details regarding these individual characters, and these details can be utilized and these details can be employed by you to answer these questions and to make your answers more rich and more award giving. Okay, I'm going to give you the list of these characters now, these 10 characters that you must read and you must memorize important details of these characters. The list is: number one, the knight; number two, the squire, his son. I'll tell you why I have opted for the young squire. Number three is wife of Bath. Number four is doctor of medicine or doctor of physique. Then there are six religious characters or the monastic characters or ecclesiastical characters, sometimes clerical characters, sometimes church characters. So many names for these characters have been used by different writers and critics. So these six characters, these six church characters are the monk, lady prioress, the friar, the summoner, the pardoner, and the poor parson. Uh, the religious characters or the church characters are very important because they show the position of the church of medieval England, and in the exams sometimes the question is set on these characters. So I'll discuss these six religious characters inshallah in the next class, in the next lecture, but today I'm going to discuss with you the four characters that I have just given you a list of. And the first character among these is the character of the knight. The knight is the most prestigious and the most respected of all the pilgrims. He is not only revered and he is not only honored by the pilgrims, but he is also very highly rated by the narrator as well as the host. And the knight is a character who is an embodiment of medieval chivalry. He loves freedom, truth, honor, and courtesy. He is very brave. He is a brave fighter. He has participated in the different wars. He has won wars that were fought not only in the name of religion but also in the name of his country. And he has participated in the wars fought for religion, which are called crusades. These crusades were fought between the Muslims and the Christians. So he is a veteran of these wars, and he is highly religious, and he's a devout Christian. He has just returned from the battlefield, and immediately he has decided to go on a pilgrimage. His coat is stained with earth, which is an indication of the fact that he has just returned from a military expedition. As far as his behavior is concerned, he is very shy, he is reticent, he is reserved, and Chaucer presents his character in a humorous manner and suggests that he was as meek as is a maid. He was as shy as is a maid. Austerity and simplicity is another important feature of this knight. We see that he wears simple dress. He is not after pomp and show. He is not ostentatious in his dress, in his appearance. The next character is the squire, who is the knight's son. He is a young man of 20 years. He is very energetic, full of energy, full of zeal and zest for life. He is a man of many talents. He can paint, he can sing, he can dance, he can compose music, and he is hotly in love with his beloved, and at night he sleeps no more than does a nightingale. He is in the habit of keeping vigils at night. And we find out that this young man is in sharp contrast to his father. His father is a representative of medieval chivalry. He represents medieval code of chivalry, and this young man represents a new concept of chivalry that is emerging, and it is the concept of Renaissance chivalry. I hope Okay, and at the same time, you can draw a comparison and contrast between these two characters. T.S. Eliot has been one of the most important critics and poets of the 20th century. He is of the view that comparison and contrast are two major tools in the hands of a critic when you are uh, when you are in the exams and you are attempting your paper. You need to be a good critic. You can compare and contrast to situations, you can compare and contrast to writers, you can compare and contrast to characters, you can compare and contrast to styles by different authors, and this is what gives more authenticity to your answers, and this is obviously going to bring richness to your answers, and consequently you will be given more credit for it. The next character that we have to discuss is the character of wife of Bath, who is one of the two female characters in the prologue, and the character of Lady Prioress we will discuss with the church characters. And by discussing these two characters, the advantages and getting by keeping in mind the details regarding these two characters, you have an advantage that you can attempt a question on female characters if it is asked in the examination, or women characters in the prologue. And there is every possibility that this question can be set in the exams. Wow, there are some critics who believe that Chaucer's attitude towards women is quite hateful, and he seems to be a misogynist, and he seems to be a hater of women, a womanthrope. And when you study the prologue, you find out that Chaucer has given some of the details of the female characters that seem to be somewhat disturbing, but the charge of misanthropy or the charge of womanthropy is a far-fetched idea as far as Chaucer is concerned. At least in the prologue, he doesn't seem to be a hater of women. However, we can discuss it later on. For the time being, we have to focus on the character of this wife of Bath. She is a seamstress by profession, and she is excellent and matchless in her skill. She is second to none, and this is one of the important features of almost every character, every professional in the prologue, that professionally they are matchless and they are incomparable, they are second to none. This is what we see in the character of the wife of Bath. This is what we see in the character of the lawyer. This is what we see in the character of the doctor. This is what we see in the character of the reeve. So professionally, they cannot be challenged and they are matchless. So this wife of Bath is one of the most funny characters as well, and some of the details regarding her physical appearance and her physiognomy are quite interesting. For example, she is gag tooth. Gag tooth means that there is a gap in her teeth, and in the medieval age, the superstitious belief regarding this gap in teeth was that such people were thought to be lucky on the one hand, and on the other hand, such people were thought to be highly sensual and boisterous. And when we study the details regarding wife of Bath, we find out that she shows that boisterity and she shows that sensuality. Chaucer tells us that she was married 5 times in the church, and she had also maintained other company in her youth, and she had maintained courtship in her youth. So this is what shows that she is a boisterous character. We at the same time find out that she shows pretended generosity. She tries to dominate everyone in giving charity, and if anyone tries to dominate her in this religious obligation, she is so much angry and she is so much annoyed that she stops charity of all sort. So this is what makes her somewhat hollow and shallow. And we find out that this wife of Bath is a woman who is used to pilgrimages, and financially she seems to be well off. She is wearing expensive and rich clothes, and her shoes are also soft, and these are made of expensive leather. So she is a representative of independent professions, and at the same time we find out that she is one of the women who have financial security and who have financial independence. She does not depend on any male member of her family for her finances. And this is how women are emerging and they are entering the horizons of trade. I hope these details regarding the wife of Bath are clear, and at the same time these are interesting. The next character that we have to discuss is the character of Doctor of Medicine. This Doctor of Medicine, this Doctor of Physique, is a very talented professional. He is well read, he is well taught. He has not only read the physicians and the researchers of antiquity, but he has also got enough knowledge of the contemporary physicians, and he has been constantly reading the different cures that are practiced by different physicians. And he is the one who has been using different ways to treat his patients. He has been using drugs and potions and medicines. He has been making use of the knowledge of astrology and the knowledge of the movement of planets and stars in order to relieve his patients of different maladies. At the same time, he has been using charms and magic in order to heal the wounds of his patients. So this is good. This is the positive side of his personality, but he has some flaws and he has some drawbacks in his personality. He has great love and he has great greed for gold. He maintains that gold in medicine is an indispensable part, so he loves gold in special. Apparently, he wants gold in order to use it as an ingredient in medicine, but actually, he has been filling his coffers and he has been making pots of money. And he himself claims that he won in pestilence, that he has earned huge money during plague, during pestilence that devastated people and killed people in large number. There are many other things. Inshallah, we will keep on discussing. But as far as these four characters are concerned, I hope the details are clear to you. So keep on watching, keep on following. Inshallah, in the next episodes, we will discuss more characters, we will discuss more aspects of the prologue. Thank you for watching. This is all for today. Thank you very much.